I'm bracing for Mobile Suit Gundam The Witch from Mercury to emotionally break me. And in this video, I'm going to break down why, while trying not to break down myself. The show is going to ruin birthdays for me. I'm going to spoil whatever Gundam series I need to for this video. Okay. Ryo Jose, Temray, General Revel, Lieutenant Ajan, Lieutenant Malden, Lieutenant Law, Degwin Zabi, Girin Zabi, Dolzel Zabi, Kaysilla Zabi, Garvin Zabi, Ramba Rawl, Crowley Hammond, Makuve, and Lala Soon all die in the original Mobile Suit Gundam. Not to mention all the minor and unnamed characters that die because the Gundam franchise wants you to know one thing. It's that giant robot fights are cool, and it doesn't matter how many people need to die to see a good giant robot fight. Also, spoilers for a 50-year-old show. On a serious note, beneath all the flashy robot fights, Gundam wants you to know that war is a terrible thing. The effectiveness that this concept is communicated to the audience varies between the different continuities, and it is conveyed the best seeing the casual destruction a mobile suit fight brings by its very nature of being a giant robot fight. In Mobile Suit Gundam F91, a shell casing falls on the head of a woman trying to run away with her baby. The mobile suit pilot doesn't even notice, and how can he? He's too busy trying not to die. If I had to pick one scene that I believe represents the central idea of Gundam, this would be a frontrunner. The Witch from Mercury starts with a 4-year-old child killing 3 pilots with the face of the franchise, the Gundam. If you don't start the series with the prologue that was released online, I believe you're not getting the full experience of this entry into the Gundam canon. The first broadcasted episode is a tonal departure from what is to be expected in a Gundam series. The previous series, Iron-Blooded Orphans, starts with child soldiers being abused by their handlers. The original series sees Amuro Ray, a teenager, get caught up in an attack on his home colony and being forced to kill in self-defense. 00 also begins with child soldiers being gunned down by mechs. In The Witch from Mercury, we have a stuttering protagonist going to mobile suit school with hopeful music, and I love it for it. Without watching the prologue, you might think that The Witch from Mercury would have more in common tonally with the Build Fighter sub-franchise. The prologue is a promise to the audience. The Witch from Mercury is a mainline Gundam series, even if it doesn't start like one when the episodes hit broadcast. The character set up as a series antagonist, Delling Rambin. Instead of buying out the company, the Vandis Institute owned by Ox Earth, developing Gundams, he kills everybody working on the project, save 2. This isn't a government deciding these people need to die, it's a private enterprise. The reason? The gun format, originally developed for medicinal applications, is adapted to military use when Ox Earth buys the Vandis Institute, and the gun format doesn't play well with a human pilot in a mobile suit. Here, the prologue is sowing the seeds of corporate warfare and the people caught up in it when capitalism reduces them to simple resources to be disposed of, which the first few episodes help reinforce. It ends with Onorsama and her 4-year-old daughter, Ari, escaping from the massacre because their husband and father, Nadim, sacrifices himself to buy them time to get away. He sings his daughter happy birthday, to which she sings along, but dies before he can finish the song. Considering the end of episode 6, where another character dies while singing happy birthday because he was being discarded by a corporation, this all shows that the prologue is a promise that The Witch of Mercury, while doing something different with its story, will be a Gundam series. Which leads to my issue with the prologue. It is so good that I worry about the series living up to its quality. Considering the first 6 episodes, I think it is so far, and I'm optimistic about it sticking the landing. The first episode begins with the protagonist saving an heiress drifting in space. Unlike Banana Lynx and Minerva, Miorin doesn't want to be saved because she's trying to escape her father, Delling Rembrandt. It's a meet cute, a far cry from the colony drops and child soldiers of previous series. After this, we're treated to a montage of the school that they'll be attending set to an optimistic soundtrack. Suletta meets Nika and stutters. Couldn't help but compare and contrast her to Iron-Blooded Orphans Gundam pilot Mikazuki, a pilot of few words. Then some Spacian students attempt to bully her, but she proves to be too inexperienced and clueless with school social dynamics to realize this. Definitely not the opening of Double O. The light tone eases us into the world and gives us a chance to get to know the characters in a low-stakes environment. Even the giant robot fights are fairly low stakes, considering it's not to the death. Mercury wants typical teenager things, like making friends and to go on dates. She doesn't need to fight for her life, and this is a good thing. She possesses this innocence with relatable wants and motivations, but we also get hints at classism and civil unrest. But it's obvious from the beginning that she's going to get caught up in the machinations of the various corporations that make up the Bennett Group. Companies doing shady shit have always been around in Gundam, most prominently with Anaheim Electronics, profiting off the wars and the Universal Century stories. Episode 1 ends with Suletta and the Gundam Ariel victorious in a duel. We get to see Suletta just be bad at social interaction, but we also get to see her be confident in her element piloting a mobile suit. Compared to IBO's Mikazuki, she has more depth in my opinion. They both suck at social interaction, but are good at winning fights in mobile suits. The difference is that Suletta is struggling to have those social interactions. Mikazuki doesn't care, so I don't. I care about Suletta's growth as a person since she's making an effort despite extreme distress on her part. Mikazuki just cares about what Agra says, and maybe farming. Maybe it's not fair to compare a dynamic character like Suletta to a flat character like Mikazuki, especially since Mikazuki being a flat character ties into the trauma he suffered. There's plenty to talk about there, but right now, how many stoic mobile suit pilots do we need? Like, going back to the original series, Amuro Ray was a teenager shanghaied into service for the Federation. During the original series, we see how the war affects him, how it tears his family apart. The Witch from Mercury is giving us time to see Suletta before the trauma and potentially make it more impactful. It's a good way to get new people to watch Gundam and see the franchise as more than just big robots fighting. It's using big robots fighting to make a commentary on the human condition, and it's taking the time to show us the human. The Witch from Mercury reminds me of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX with its school dedicated to a very specific subject, dueling in Yu-Gi-Oh! Mobile suits and dueling with mobile suits in Gundam. Dorms split by social class and a heavy emphasis on dueling. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V, it's shown that in one dimension, the duel school is used to train an army, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's more relevant considering the Witch of Mercury.
Spunk, yes, but the intellect is clearly lacking.
In episode 2, we get a witch trial where Suletta is accused of being a Gundam pilot, but her mother bullshits her way out of it since the trial was bullshit because they didn't have proof that the Ariel is a Gundam. They sell it with a duel because Yu-Gi-Oh! We get a better look at some of the corporate players of the duel school, all of which want that sweet Gundam tech. The next few episodes are more non-lethal duel, schoolwork, and relationship stuff, like Girls on Panzer, but with racism. That relationship stuff brings in Ellen and his interest in Suletta. Our girl has her first crush, and that makes her fiancé jealous and suspicious because of that corporate warfare going on in the background, which is starting to creep more into the foreground. Ellen, or Enhanced Person number 4, was sent to Suletta to learn more about the Gundam because the company that he is in indentured servitude to, Peli Technologies, made a shittier one that burns out their pilots. The thing about number 4 is that he isn't a clone. He's a person altered to look like the real Ellen series, who's a giant asshole. It's that idea that capitalism reduces people with thoughts and dreams to resources that can be discarded, like what happened in the prologue. Initially cold and distant, the fake Ellen warms up to Suletta, and by warm, begins to hate her because she can use a Gundam and not die from the overload. They duel in their Gundams, and Suletta wins. The positivity that she's shown throughout the series rubs off on him like it rubs off on all her friends. This relationship is the crux of that idea of Soletta's positivity rubbing off on people. Gruel, who she beat twice, had his position in the school stripped from him. Soletta stole his fiancée by winning the first duel. He kept losing and was disowned by his family and evicted from his dorm, but he looks like he's in a better place because Soletta stood up for him and told him that mantra of keep moving forward that she lives by. She may have beaten him in battle, but she affected change of him as a person because of who she is. Enhanced person number 4 had everything taken from him. He wears someone else's face and doesn't remember his own personal history. Peli Technologies doesn't care about that, but Suletta does. She wants to know his birthday so that they can celebrate together. Again, Suletta beats her opponent in battle, but it's how she interacts with them that affects that change. Number 4 gets a flash of his mother on his birthday, a glimpse of that humanity that was stripped of him in the name of progress. Unfortunately, this means that number 4 has been used up and is deemed to be disposed of by a beam cannon. But because of Suletta, he dies with a bit of his humanity restored. 4 is incinerated, a technological burn at the stake to erase Peli's crimes against humanity, when he was meant to meet with Suletta, who ends the episode wondering where he is, oblivious at how the plots of the people around her are affecting her life. But it's starting to creep in. This, I believe, is a turning point for the series. As of this recording, I'm waiting for episode 7 to be released to see the consequences. We had our first character die outside of the prologue, and I want to see how the world of the story adjusts as Suletta gets caught up in Lady Prospera's revenge plot. We got to know Suletta as a person, not just a Gundam pilot, and we can see the fires being set under her feet while she sings Happy Birthday. With 2 characters dying while singing Happy Birthday, and Miorin's comments that she won't be married until her birthday, this show is hanging a sword over our heads, and I love it for that. It's like Cyberpunk Edge Runners. We spend time with these people as a means to grow to care about them. Then the show brings the pain to hammer in its message. For Gundam, war is hell, and it's people like you and me that have their lives ruined. Unless the show goes the way of G Gundam and says save the earth or Robo-Satan will kill you. Thank you for watching. I am contractually obligated to ask you to like, comment, and subscribe. That took me too many takes. To Iron-Blooded Orphans Gundam pilot.